What's good, everybody? It's BBKDRAGOON here, and today, no, not this Destiny. I'm going to go back and play some D1 because I'm actually still having a little bit of fun with that. D2 right now is just not a lot of fun for me. Can Destiny 2 be fixed? No! For those of you who came to the video not just to type that and leave, let's have a talk. There is a much more important question to ask beyond can Destiny 2 be fixed? And that is Bungie capable of fixing it? Quick background on me if you're new to the channel. I've been running a Destiny news podcast for 3.5 years called Destiny the Show. So since the alpha, my good buddy and co-host Diddy and I have been basically following every bit of PR that Bungie has put out for the last 3.5 years. And I gotta tell you what, things are looking extraordinarily bleak for Destiny 2. Can Destiny 2 be saved? Yes. However, is Bungie capable of doing it? I don't think so. I really don't think so. You see, for now 3.5 years, we've had a history of shortcomings, time mismanagement, and a general weird operations philosophy when it comes to how Bungie handles community feedback. We've recently experienced it firsthand with the State of Destiny 2 post that released right before Curse of Osiris and a few weeks before the Dawning, in which you have Bungie just exclaiming profusely how apologetic they are, how tough game development is, and how things are about to change. Your feedback matters to us, they say. We'll be back in the new year with all sorts of great changes. And by the way, we're finally adding back a couple of small features that were standard in Destiny 1. This is just the beginning, they say. There's more on the way. Keep talking to us and we'll keep listening. You see, that might have worked 2.5, 3 years ago, but we've heard this song and dance now over and over and over again throughout Destiny's life cycle, and it's just not going to fly. You see, for Destiny 2 to actually be saved, for it to actually be fixed, just pull Eververse aside for a second. That dumpster fire of a ridiculously poorly managed idea of how to monetize players post-release. Push that off the table just for a second, and you're left with a game that features very little endgame activities, so many features that were great in Destiny 1 stripped away, and a pretty barren, flat, shallow game that isn't going to encourage players to return day in and day out. Simply put, it's a bad investment game. It does not give you compelling progression loops to keep you returning day in and day out. In order for that to be fixed, you need a massive overhaul, a complete reboot of Destiny 2, if you will. It's going to take a lot of changes. Now, is it possible? Absolutely, but Bungie is not the developer that's going to execute it, just judging by their history. You see, in this video, when I talk specifically about Bungie, I am talking to the management team. I am talking to the leadership team. I'm not talking to the individual developers, because at Bungie, there is no doubt an enormous amount of talent. They have developers there that are ridiculously good at what they do. But there's a problem. The management team continues to not utilize their assets properly and make silly mistakes that they've made over and over again. So I'm talking specifically to the management team. I moved into a management role myself in my real-life job like 1.5 years ago, and what it entails is I don't get to blame my team members if a project fails. When it comes down to it and I have to meet with the top brass, if my initiatives have failed time and time again, the onus is on me. They don't look at Jimmy, who does XYZ on the team, and go, well, Jimmy didn't do a good job doing that, so that's why. No. The buck stops with the management team. The buck stops with the managers. You know, this last week we learned from Jason Schreier that they rebooted Destiny 2 halfway through, just like Destiny 1. And according to Schreier, the original idea for Destiny 2 was to include most of the Destiny 1 content and planets in the release. And you think about that on paper going, that's a smart move, Bungie. Utilize that content that you've already built. You've learned from the first 3 years of Destiny. Age of Triumph was that epiphany moment for you where you went, we've got some amazing raids. Let's make them viable. Let's make them current. Let's make them actually relevant and let players experience them regularly. And then halfway through D2's development, something went crazy wrong, or your management team once again decided, no, let's scrap it. Let's go from start. I've got an idea. All their weapons are gone. We're doing a totally fresh beginning. And here we are frothing at the mouth as Destiny players when we get little scraps of info about D2. Like, oh, they're totally overhauling it. They're going to fix everything. This is the chance they need. And when it really was a cover-up for a giant mistake, like halfway through your development process, man. How have you not learned at this point You know, in the next week, we're going to get our first update from Bungie about how they're handling the new year and what's going to be changing. And if they do not do an absolute truckload of stuff, I'm telling you what, it's done, dude. The damage has been inflicted, and they let that wound bleed for almost a month while they were on vacation. So the Dawning releases, and you've got the Mayhem playlist, which really is the backbone of the Dawning event, which already lackluster, disappointing, and Eververse cash grab. And then in Mayhem, within the first few days, you have the Infinite Nova Bomb glitch discovered. And you're suddenly like, okay, I can just stand there and throw as many Nova Bombs as I want. That's kind of dumb after we've seen in Destiny 2 lots of problems. The Prometheus lens, an emote that lets you glitch into walls, and a bunch more. Bungie tells us we're not going to be fixing that infinite super glitch until the event is over. 3 weeks of that basically riddling mayhem. And you're left as the player going, why? Why wouldn't you? I don't get it. Why wouldn't you guys just fit? Well, we're on vacation right now, don't you see? And we'll be back in the new year to tell you all about it. Now, I understand that Mayhem is sort of a joke playlist already, but you have to understand, an infinite super glitch is an infinite super glitch. It's an exploit. It's a problem with your game that you guys introduced. Okay, this is a problem in your game, in your court, that it's your responsibility to fix, and you want us to then engage with the Dawning, enjoy the Dawning to the degree where we go, man, I really want to support this and put money back into Eververse, yet you'll let an infinite super glitch go for 3 weeks without touching it. If I was building a house and the construction team that was building the house didn't put a door on the bottom level, okay, the main entrance, there's no door there, and they're about to leave for holiday break, and the construction worker's like, all right, man, well, we'll be seeing you in about 3 weeks. And I go to him, yo, the door's not finished. And he's like, yeah, we'll begin talking about putting the door back on when we get back from vacation in 3 weeks. And I'll go, yo, dude, the door is not on the house, and it's snowing. There's cold weather coming in here. There's snow. This is a problem. This is a big problem. And you've got your entire construction team here. What? Just fix the door. No. We'll fix the door eventually. But what we're going to do first, no. We'll start talking about how we're going to fix the door when we get back in 3 weeks. That is essentially what Bungie is doing. They are yanking the player base around, telling us not specifics, we're going to fix the game, we're really sorry for this mess that is Destiny 2. No. It's, we'll be back in 3 weeks. And then we're going to just start talking about our ideas of how to slowly improve the game. That time has passed, Bungie. You no longer can play that card. I understand that Christmas vacation is an important time. You work in game development, so crunch is probably, this has been a big year for you, and I'm sure you haven't had a lot of time off. But dear community team, this is a once-in-a-lifetime career-defining moment where your community is going up in flames. The game is falling apart. Your franchise rests in the balance, and you did not come in for almost a month to address those concerns. I understand logistically this is a problem, and it may be challenging. What I'm saying is you needed to come in and you needed to talk with us over this period of time. If the house is on fire and you say we'll come back eventually, by the time you come back, the house will have burned down. And that's really what's going on here. You can no longer react in your old mannerisms because the community has had it. You know, on your front entrance, you've got a list of all the games that you've built at Bungie, and you have the phrase, we make games we want to play. Think about that. Did you guys want to play Destiny over the holiday break? Did you want to go into Mayhem and experience that? Is Destiny 2 really the game that you guys wanted to deliver? Is this the game that you think is good to play every single day as an investment type game? If you guys want to go back to making games like Halo, in which it's a singular release, you've got a narrative, like a linear narrative campaign, 7 to 8 hours, it's done, and then just competitive multiplayer to basically hold people over. If you want to make that type of game, go for it. But Destiny is not that type of game. You built an MMO-light investment progression game, and you're shocked that players expect tropes that are associated with that game, progression loops that keep people engaged. And here's the giant challenge of why I don't think Destiny 2 is going to be resolved or fixed anytime soon, especially not by the way Bungie's handling it now. They rebooted the game halfway through, according to Jason Schreier, whose track record has been very, very accurate during Destiny 1. Then you have the game being dumped into the laps of the live team. I don't think you have the A squad working on Destiny 2 anymore. It was indicated through the Crucible Radio podcast a while back that it sounds like the live team has now taken the reins of Destiny 2 once again. So you have a dramatically smaller team with a smaller budget who now has the challenging task of trying to fix the game as it's already in motion without the massive workforce that Bungie has available to them, the 900 some odd people that they have. That's a really, really horrible situation if you're on the live team. You were literally given something half-baked, told, here, fix it, and you just finished fixing Destiny 1. The live team, by the time we got to Age of Triumph, it really had evolved into a pretty good game. Now, I never thought Destiny 1 was a 10 out of 10 game. I always thought it was like a 6 out of 10 in the beginning, and it evolved into a 7 or 8 out of 10. But there were certain elements of pure magic in Destiny, certain elements that were so great. Okay, that strike-specific loot, the random rolls on weapons, the community, the sense of community, the actual rewarding sense of investment within the game, because there were a lot of things that you could chase as a player, especially when you get to Age of Triumph and you could look for those raid sets, you could work for those challenge ornaments, and that's all gone in Destiny 2. It's a generic, just shallow game that tries to point you in one direction, and that's Eververse. And here's where it gets just insanely bleak. The Eververse problem. Bungie will not produce a satisfying improvement to Eververse. I guarantee it. You know why? Because Destiny 2's numbers, I guarantee you, are going to be down when it comes to the actual sales of expansions. We know the player count has hemorrhaged to a ridiculous degree, and future player involvement with the game is going to fall off a cliff because of how Bungie has treated the community over the last month and a half. You aren't going to see people buying the expansions the way they were in Destiny 1. So when Bungie has to crawl over to Activision and say, we need to overhaul Eververse, and we really, in fact, we have players just telling us flat out, protest and continually remove it from the game, which they're not going to do. Okay, they're going to have to go to Activision and tell Activision we're going to miss our sales numbers, we're going to deliver much lower revenue counts, and we also, in order to save the game, need to absolutely retool and just frankly remove Eververse from the game. They're not going to remove Eververse from the game. Activision's going to look at them and go, you guys, we've pushed due dates back for you in Destiny 1. You have a history of mismanagement when it comes to time schedules and resources, and we have just expanded your team to 900 people because of how hard it is to make content. It goes back to that construction analogy. If my construction team building the house tells me, yeah, we couldn't put the door on because construction's really hard, and he's got a team of like 30 construction guys there, I'm sorry, you're a construction team. You don't get to tell me how hard construction is. I understand game development is hard, but it is your job. It is the job and the profession and the pathway that you have taken. There's a mountain of challenges ahead for Destiny 2, and I do not think Bungie is capable of fixing it. I think Destiny 2 could be fixed, however. The first step would have been after the State of Destiny 2 post. You say for the Dawning, we're completely changing it up. We're going to make this the most generous event we've ever done. We're going to throw so many amazing engrams at you, you won't know what to do with it. And then make the Dawning exceptionally generous. Make bright engrams unbelievably, make it just rain bright engrams. Do some things to get goodwill back with your players, to earn some trust back, to show some genuine remorse for how poor a game Destiny 2 is. But I don't think Bungie's ever going to admit anything of a mistake of theirs. Sorry, Bungie, you come across exceptionally arrogant. It's this continual, we know what's best for you. That no longer is going to work in D2, man. You can't tell the player base, 4v4, you just don't know it. It's what's really best for this game. You guys might not think it's fun right now, but this is what's best for the game. And you know what? This really shallow, new type of Destiny, this is what's best for you. Just hold on, you let us realize our vision here. When really the community sees what's going on. You guys rebooted your game halfway through. It's a shallow mess, and because you needed more revenue, because creating content was too hard, you have absolutely made a pact with Activision to shove Eververse in every flippin' corner of the game. Mark my words, in a few days you're going to see the first Bungie post of 2018. And there is so much resting on it because they were dead silent for 3 weeks over the holiday as the PR nightmare got out of control. As it should have. Okay, I'm glad that people are finally speaking up against this, against these predatory Eververse practices and this just roller coaster of silliness that's going on with D2. In that post, you're going to see a few things, I bet. Private matches are coming in January. Private matches is a feature that's standard in pretty much like all multiplayer games. Your Halo games released with them at launch. It was a feature in D1. I don't understand why I should think that's a victory as a player. I really don't. It should be an expectation. Come February, we're going to be introducing a new sort of enhanced mod thing or a new feature to Masterworks. But you're not really going to see an actual change to the investment loop of the game. And then come March or April is when the marketing or the release begins of the second expansion. And that is the nail in the coffin. If you do not see absolute paradigm shifts in the improvements of Destiny 2, if you do not see it improve night and day over the next month or 6 weeks, when Bungie comes to the table to try and market the next expansion, it's done. The player base does not want to spend more. We already got the half-baked meal, and instead of fixing that meal, you're continuing to try and sell us more. There has got to be a level of sincerity in how Bungie approaches the community and then follows it up with meaningful actions. That is the only way you're going to see Destiny 2 be saved. And I don't think Bungie is going to be able to do that. I think we're going to continue on this roller coaster of what's going on. And unfortunately, it's at the point now where I think it will probably sink the franchise unless you have some really talented and big shifts in the management team. Unless you got to see results at this point. By now, I'm probably rambling, so I'm going to wrap up with this. 2018 is a year where I'm focused on playing games that I really enjoy, that are fun, high-quality games, because we're living in an era. 2017 had some unbelievably incredible games, and 2018 most likely will as well. I've been playing a ton of Warframe lately. If you're looking for a good investment game, maybe to give yourself a break from Destiny, hop into Warframe. I've been playing now for 4.5, 5 months, and I love it. Unfortunately, it doesn't give me all of the satisfaction that Destiny does, but Warframe absolutely nails the investment loop and that sense of wanting to come back and progress your character further. The Division has improved. That's a great example. The Division launched, and first 2 months went pretty well, and then the player base fell off a cliff because it didn't deliver a really compelling daily and weekly investment loop. Well, the developers have been quietly working on the game the last few years, and now 1.8 has really driven a lot of the player base back. It's in a very good state. It's not totally impossible for Destiny to do that route. It's just they've got to stop selling us things and first fix the game that we've already bought. I would really like to know what you guys think about all of this. So leave your comments down in the comment section below. Try and keep it civil, and especially specifics. What on earth could Bungie do in the next 2 to 3 months that could dramatically turn the ship around? Is it even possible? So with all that said, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please thumbs it up. If you are new here, subscribe, hit that little alarm bell button so you get notifications when new videos are posted. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk with you soon.